Marvel Comics is looking to close down the X-Men's multi-year epic Krakoan saga. But the publisher is looking to do it in style, featuring two miniseries set to pay homage to the comics that kicked off the Krakoan era. In Rise of the Powers of Ten, the X-Men are set to go up against an artificial intelligence dubbed Enigma. My name is Ariko Braddock, and today, let's go ahead and preview the second issue of Rise of the Powers of Ten to see some of Xavier's master plans in his battle against Enigma. Before we get deeper into the video, I want to encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the like button over on this video. The Last Hope. Outside of reality, outside time and space, is mutantdom's last hope. Floating between dimensions, hiding from a Dominion who wishes to crush them, can Xavier and his crew survive? And when we find out their plan, will we want them to? The end of the Krakoan Age continues in this epic tale split in two. So Rise of the Powers of Ten Issue 2 is still written over by Kieron Gillen, featuring art by Krakoan founding artist R.B. Silva. Plus, we have colors in the series coming in over from David Curiel. In addition, there's letters from VC's Clayton Cowles, designed by Tom Muller and Bowen. And we have a gorgeous cover for the issue coming in directly over from R.B. Silva as well as David Curiel. It's really cathartic for me to finally see Rasputin 4 really prominently featured on the cover of an X-Men title. This was a character who really rose to prominence in the X-Men line throughout the Krakoan era, and I think this is a great issue to kind of bolster her presence and really bring her into the limelight here. Want to extend a big thank you to Adventures in Poor Taste and preview some of the epic opening pages coming in from R.B. Silva. Really like the way that R.B. Silva is able to utilize and really introduce the character of Enigma over in these first couple pages of Rise of the Powers of Ten Issue 2 through all these mysterious captions in the comic book. Kieron Gillen is so fantastic at writing characters' inner thoughts and monologues, and the way that Enigma kind of spies on the young character of Moira is just a fascinating way to kick off this storyline and issue as a whole. On this second page of the issue, it was so fascinating to watch Enigma scour through everybody's thoughts and even find his way into some of the plot threads from the Fall of the House of X series. Also, it was really thrilling to watch Cyclops recount some of his time being spent under the clutches of Orcus in the second to last panel on the page as well here. One of my favorite aspects of Rise of the Powers of Ten is this page coming in from R.B. Silva, showing Kitty emerging from the head of a Stark Sentinel. The way that this panel actually serves as the background for the entire page is so wonderful, and is just a great juxtaposition for the way that Kieron Gillen is able to showcase Enigma kind of peeking in on all these disparate X-Men characters, particularly desperate to find the character of Charles Xavier. I found it really thrilling how Rise of the Powers of Ten also featured a lot of connective tissue over to Marvel Comics' Dead X-Men series. In fact, I think Marvel may have bungled their publishing line just ever so slightly. I feel like Rise of the Powers of Ten Issue 2 is a wonderful prologue to Dead X-Men and a really important issue to check in with even before reading that main series. The way that Kieron Gillen was able to really showcase some of the main plot threads from that book involving characters like Ascani, as well as Professor Xavier directly commenting and talking about the mission of the Dead X-Men was thrilling, and a great way to find a little bit more connective tissue between this series and Dead X-Men than I ever thought possible here. I've read a lot of interviews from both Steve Fox as well as Kieron Gillen, and these creators have both talked about how they were coordinating so many plot threads together. Seeing this over on the page itself is so fascinating in the context of Rise of the Powers of Ten. I also found it just so thrilling to see R.B. Silva render some of these pages with the Scani as opposed to some of these sequences illustrated by creators like Bernard Chang that we saw over in that core title. There's something really special about the way Kieron Gillen is able to write the dialogue for Mother Righteous, especially keeping things like her accent as well as her unnatural abilities and powers to the top of mind here. Also, I really like some of these scenarios in just tense ways that Gillen was able to restructure some of the characters' scenes with Mother Righteous. In particular, too, I think this issue featured some really interesting animosity between Hope and Mother Righteous as well that I never expected to see over on the comic book page here. Late within the issue, I was so impressed with some of RB Silva's artwork. I think the motion blur and the colors over from David Curiel are just so wonderful. Rasputin as a character really gets the limelight in Rise of the Powers of 10 too. She has so many emotional moments over with Professor Xavier and just a great way to realize her presence over in the narrative. I was also really taken with how this issue was able to implement some of the plot threads from Marvel's Sins of Sinister storyline that actually really saw Rasputin 4 join Marvel's continuity. The fact that all these plot threads are referenced so carefully over from Kieron Gillen, who also, of course, worked on that Sins of Sinister storyline, is just so cathartic and a joy to see on the comic book page. Also, we've gotten so much build up to Rasputin teaming up with the X-Men. Watching her work together with Professor Xavier is just incredibly cathartic. This issue also had just such a beautiful page from Silva showing Rasputin 4 in an incredibly epic battle. So at the end of the day here, I think Rise of the Powers of 10 issue 2 was a phenomenal chapter of X-Men that does a great job fleshing out some more characterization over for Rasputin 4. Also, watching Rasputin grow closer with Professor Xavier as this issue progressed was really thrilling here. I also thought there were some fantastic moments with Cypher, Douglas Ramsey across this tale as well. I want to know from you, what were some of your thoughts over on Rise of the Powers of 10 issue 2? Did you think this comic book introduced some fascinating additional plot threads over for Dead X-Men? Also, what were some of your opinions on the Sins of Sinister references? Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks so much for coming to watch our video review over on Rise of the Powers of 10 issue 2, and we'll be back to see however Krakoa winds down. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.